Welcome to Chai and Chat with Mohini. I'm Mohini Singh. Today's episode is going to be an extremely interesting one. We'll meet a person who went as a teenager into a private plane and ended up building one of Canada's biggest aviation companies. Please join me in welcoming Barry Lapointe with KF Aerospace. Thank you for joining us and
Oh,
thank you for letting us into this wonderful boardroom that looks like a fuselage.
well, it looks like it's fuselage of a 737, but it's just a boardroom, So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Well, welcome home.
Before we go any further, I just have to say a big thank you to Dawood Fine Dining on Ellis Street in Kelowna for sponsoring this episode and making this happen. They were very happy to support this interview with you.
Perfect. That's
So
great.
take us back to when you were 16, Barry.
Wow, that's a few
At
years
16, at 16, I couldn't chew and walk. And you were flying a plane.
Well, yeah. I graduated from I lived born and raised in Vancouver, and so Vancouver is sort of my home. And I went to a very good school, Vancouver College, and it was very university orientated. We were in those days everything was white collar. That's success was always white collar, and I was finding it a little bit difficult going to university and trying to achieve what I wanted to do. My parents were very entrepreneurial. They had a food business and they worked very hard at it. I know what it's like to be own your own business because I watched my mom and dad grow up. I grew up with it.
Work very hard.
Yeah, they're 24/7. It just so it was very natural for me to be see a focus. I think that's the word, focus and dedication. I watched my parents do that, and so one day I was driving home from school and I went by the BC Vocational School, and there was an aeronautical course, and I decided to take it to get into the engineering side of what I'm doing now. But I've been making model airplanes since I was about 10 years old. I just found them fascinating, flying them around in a string and building them. If I got $2 for my birthday, I'd go out and buy another plastic airplane and build it. And I've got flying magazines that went back to 1952, so I just really, I've always thought of aviation as a hobby, not as a job.
So, there are lots of young kids who like to play with planes,
Yeah.
see them fly
hmm
around, but not all of them go and build a big aviation company.
Well, it goes back to words that we both know. I mean, the younger kids today, there's the words like passion. You have a passion for what you want to do, dedication of what you want to do, a focus on what you want to do, and it just all came together around when I went to that BCIT. Aviation became my focus. And now I had always wanted to get my pilot's license just even as a hobby. So I was 16. I enrolled in Skyways. I had to, in fact, I had my pilot's license, learner's license
So you could drive?
before I could drive a car. So my dad had to drive me out to Skyways in Langley, and it was 16. I got my permits license to start flying, and like I said, it was always a hobby. I never really thought of making it a career.
So, at what point did it become a career?
Well, when I was driving down the street and I went by the BC Vocational School and there was an aviation course, and I had always been pretty handy with my hands, mechanically, built engines, rebuilt some cars. You get your car when you're 14 and make it work. So I had the ability both mechanically and the flying aspect. And so, yeah, I put the two ingredients together and said, I kind of like this. And when you really like something, there isn't enough. It's a 24/7 program.
It draws you in.
It draws you in. So I continued on and got my pilot's license. I went to BCIT. Well, it was called the BC Vocational School. Now it's called the BCIT. On Wellington Street. Graduated there in 1965. Had a job right away at the Vancouver International Airport at Harrison Airways then. Met my good friend who became my partner here later on, Jim Rogers, who was very involved with the success of KF Aerospace. And so it just started. I started working at the airport, fixing airplanes. I flew airplanes. I could test
And
fly
you were
them.
working out of the back of a pickup.
Oh, well, that's later. I mean, that this was all in Vancouver. And then I decided, young, got married young to a young lady, Maureen, and we decided that if we really wanted to, my passion was to start my own business now. Now I got into the entrepreneurial side of it. You couldn't do it in Vancouver or the mainland. It was too inundated by already successful aviation companies. So I decided to, with my new bride and a pickup truck, we just came up to Kelowna here and looked around. Then I went to Vernon, and actually I started in '68 in Vernon with a company called Morris Aviation. We started training people. One of my favorite instructors was Tom Ford, who ended up making Cal Tire a very successful.
Yes.
And I think that's the other thing that's been really lucky for me is we got into the smaller community, which had great entrepreneurs. I mean, let's think about Tom Ford, Cal Tire, Henry Denoyer, Tradeland Realty, Vernon, and then come to Kelowna, and there was Joe Capozzi's.
That's right. Oh, that
Dobbins.
was Joe Capozzi who brought you to Kelowna.
Yeah, Joe Capozzi. I fixed his airplane one day,
And he said, "Why don't you come
he
to
said,
Kelowna?"
"Why don't you come to Kelowna?" And I said, "And why don't you start your own business?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to, but I don't. I don't have a facility. I don't have anything. I didn't even know what a limited liability company was. I just knew
How to fix
how to
planes.
fix airplanes. Focused on that, and I started to get a pretty good reputation in the valley here from guys like Stan Towers, Towers Ranch, Lauren Dobbin, Chapman. I can just throw out names here that
These are all old Kelowna names.
Kelowna names, yeah.
Yes.
But Mike, Bill Cothart, Mid Valley Construction, and
Yes.
So Joe taught me to come down, and he said, you can work out of my hangar, you can use my hangar. Okay, so I did.
But
in
see,
March,
Barry, in those days, an idea, grit, determination, hard work, a little bit of luck, you could make it. It's not as easy today.
No. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple of young people say, come to me and say, we like to start something. It's not like aviation now, but we like to do computer business or something, in more of the techie stuff that's going on right now. And, I look back on when I started on March 20th of 1970. I started here as a company. I formed a company called Kelowna Flight Craft.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And you couldn't do it today. I mean, in the old days, I don't want to talk about old days and new days, but it's 50 years ago, but you knew your banker by your first name.
Right.
You knew the restaurants. Like Joe Capozzi said to me, if you're going to be successful in Kelowna, you got to join the Kelowna Club. I didn't know what the Kelowna Club was, but it was a club with basically men
Business
in the
people.
area and people and entrepreneurs. So
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that I got to rub shoulders with a lot of people, of these type of people, and sort of direct me, the focus of what I mean, you've got to work, you got to do good work, you got to do it for fair price, you got to be honest with the people. I mean, those are basics. I mean, let's.
You know what? And you were quite lucky because you actually met up with people
Yeah.
who guided you along
Absolutely.
the way.
I had great mentors. Yeah.
So let's fast forward. You set up this
Okay.
business, you're super successful. Expo 86 happens because that was an amazing time. You did something so fabulous. The theme was transportation and communication.
Yes.
And you took that on
Yeah.
as a challenge
Yeah.
and a nod to Expo.
That's right.
And you flew around the world. Who does that?
well,
I'm lucky to drive to Penticton.
Yeah, it was interesting because if you recall a little bit, I mean, Jimmy Patterson was the spark plug
Yes,
for
of
Expo
course.
86. It was going not so great before Jimmy got involved. It was getting government involvement, and it was going down a bit of a rabbit hole. Jimmy Patterson got involved. We talked about transportation. I worked with him, and we decided that the DC-3 was the 50th anniversary of that airplane, and every major airline in the world flew DC-3s, and it was what brought the people into a proper airplane, back in the 38, 39. And so it was the cornerstone of aviation. And I was operating the DC-3 at that time. So a bunch of us said, for Expo, to promote it around the world.
You decided, hey, I'm just going to hop on the plane and
it wasn't
zip from
quite
here
that
to there.
easy, but let's go in this airplane and fly around the world and go to every city that was sort of represented in Expo 86.
Wow.
And we were very fortunate. We got the government of Canada at the time and the government of BC, particularly Bill Bennett and the Bennett family, of course. And we had an entourage, and the federal government really treated us well in every place we went. There was people there from Canada to meet us. I gave so many talks about Canada and what Canada is all about, and we had a group of 11 of us. It wasn't just me; it was 11 of us, and we had a good time. There was a few frustration times.
Like when you ran out of gas going to Hawaii.
Well, people don't realize that the DC-3, even though it was built in 1938, and we were now 86, that was 86, that, it only went 120 miles an hour. It wasn't pressurized. The highest we got was about 4,000 or 5,000 feet going across the ocean. And it was 23 hours from Oakland, California 21 hours, Oakland, California to Honolulu. So 21 hours, people got up, had breakfast, had lunch, went to bed, got up the next morning. I mean, we were flying all through the night, all through the day to get there. And so it was I think we had about another hour and a half when we met. But we were getting a little concerned, going to Honolulu. But it had been done before. Douglas Aircraft had done it way back. But this was a great trip. And it took us 225 hours, for 2 months. And we left in June, and we ended up in August at the Aviation.
So you were BC's flying ambassador.
Well, yeah, we didn't look at it that way, but we were.
But you were.
Yeah. No, we were. And it was interesting. And at the Center of Excellence that I have here now,
yes,
that same DC-3 is here.
Yes.
And
that's the one outside.
Yeah. No, it's inside, but it's here. It's called Odyssey 86. That was the title of the airplane.
Now, is it the anniversary this year? 60th anniversary of the Odyssey?
No, it's longer than that. I mean, it was since 86. Yeah, it's 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
No, that's for Expo.
Yeah.
So, let me just say, Barry, you're an amazing success story.
Well, God's crazy been good sometimes too.
Yeah, well, God's been good to you. You've had luck on your side, grit, determination, 2 hands, hard work, focus. All those fabulous things have got you to where you're at. But if we could peek behind the curtain and ask Barry about the man, when you look at your success, how do you quantify it? Is it the person you are, your children, your financial success, your business success? Well,
I'll tell you what, when you're starting out, as I've always said, if you're starting out by yourself, you know that every hour that you put to work, it's 100% efficient. And the moment you get somebody else, it goes to 50% efficiency. Mm-hmm. So, but I want to just make a big comment here that my success maybe contributed a little bit to me, but I had some great people that worked with me, and also felt my dream, felt my direction, helped me. I had the Royal Bank of Canada was great for me. They just stayed by me forever. The people, the customers, the people that came to work for me, my partner at that time, Jim Rogers, we had a dream, and to make it work, you got to have basics. And if we look at basics, and everybody has them today, you have determination. You got to have confidence in yourself. You got to be dedicated in what you're going to do, and you got to have just throw everything against the wall. I was giving a talk to some university kids in entrepreneurship, and I always open up with saying, "How do you spell entrepreneur?"
I don't know.
Well, they all started with E and I said no, it doesn't start with an E, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I said entrepreneur starts with risk, and that's what it is. You got to be able to accept the risk, and then focus the determination, and keep your focus in the direction that you want to do, and grow the company. I know so many companies that start, and the first thing they do is they make some money and they take it all out, and they don't have any depth.
Yeah.
So you got to build depth, and you gotta build friendship, and you gotta and be involved, politically, community wise, and that's where I feel contributed to my success, and that's where I am today, and that's why I feel I'm also now to give back to the community.
And that's what I was going to ask you
Yeah.
next. You've taken philanthropy as a big,
Well, you
big
can't take it with you.
yeah, yeah. You're very generous to this community.
Yeah.
You've been very generous to the university,
Yeah.
and to COSAR lately.
Yeah.
And so, what is it that drives you to
Well,
this is money you've earned.
I know, but you can only use so much money. You can only have so many cars. You can only have so many houses. And as the business grows and you share it with your people, my focus always been that it's just not me. It's the people around me that make me happy. I've been lucky. I've had some great people, great mentors, great people, employees. And so now it comes a time in my life where, I can't take it with me. I just said that. And so why not share it and direct it to where you think the best possible effect is going to be? I pay taxes. I'd rather take the money I pay taxes and put it into work to the communities and give to the community. SPCA, I can get hundreds of people. The hospital.
So, how do you feel in there, right, when you give?
You always feel good about it. I mean, I always say to the hospital, which I support very strongly, and the university.
And the university.
A great community is got a good hospital and a good educational system and a good way of work. You want to be here, and I don't want to go to a hospital one day and say, we could probably help you, but we just don't have the right equipment. Pardon me.
Yeah.
I want the best, and
for yourself and the community.
yeah, for the community. That's right. So, and you have to give back to the community. When I first moved here in 68, 69, 70, there was 14,000 people in Kelowna. 14,000. There was 3 hotels,
40,000.
14,000.
14,000.
1-4. I mean, in Kelowna, I'm
Okay,
not
yeah.
talking about the whole area. So it was a very small community. And it was easy to get, you walk down the street, you knew everybody,
Yeah.
Hi, on a Sunday evening when you got to get something done, somebody will go to the machine shop and open it up and fix it for you. We've lost a little bit of that right now.
But that comes with growth,
Yeah, it comes with age, it comes with experience, and watching what's going on,
I have 2 quick questions to ask
Sure.
you. One, what would you say if you were to look back and you had a chance to talk to 16-year-old Barry, your little Barry?
Yeah.
What would you say to him? What advice would you give him
Yeah.
about life, getting places,
Well,
achieving your goals?
Well, I think, and I have used this in my own, be satisfied with what you're doing. I mean, if you get up in the morning, focus on what your day is going to be like. And when you go to bed, be happy that you've accomplished what you achieved to do. Dreaming is great. Looking forward. I used to look at magazines and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I think the word I'd use, and I've used it before so many times, I tell my kids the same thing, is just stay focused. Just don't get off on the wrong foot. Go, keep whatever you feel happy with. I tell people when you get up in the morning, go to work, do what you're going to do, but at the end of the day, be happy with what you've done. If you're not happy, then change it. Change it to something that makes you feel good in your heart and feel that you've accomplished something. Accomplishment is also a great motivator. I used to think people painting a fence, if you paint a fence, it's a lot of work, but at the end of the day,
you accomplish something, a clean
there you
fence.
go.
Yeah.
You painted a fence. If a piece of equipment doesn't work, you take it all apart, you put it all together, and it works. You've accomplished something.
Are you happy with the person you are today?
Right now, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And the other thing I tell people, don't do it just for the money.
Yeah.
Do it for the satisfaction of completing something, and look in the mirror after you've done it, and have you treated the other person right? Have you dealt with the situation? Have you accomplished what you set out for?
So you started doing this not for the money, but for the love of flying.
There you go. If you just do it for the money, you're in the wrong business. I just think people say, oh, well, I got this to do and everything else. But you got to have that sense of satisfaction that every day you get up, you're happy with what you're doing. And if you're not, there's days believe me, dealing with government, you get frustrated. You get dealing with customers, you can get frustrated. But you can always solve that. Everything's solvable. Don't say that. People always say, oh, life hates me. Life doesn't hate you. You've created the direction you're going. If you don't like the direction, change the direction. So that's how I've always felt. And if you wanted to say, what did a 16-year-old kid say? Get up in the morning happy, go to bed happy, and just, keep putting one foot forward, and you'll achieve success, or you'll achieve what you determine to do.
Thank you for talking to us, Barry. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, take care.
I hope you like the chai.
Chai.
Because you get a mug with my mug on it.
Okay. I will look forward to that.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Take care.
Thank you all for watching Chai and Chat. If you like this, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Until next time, from all of us here at Chai and Chat, bye-bye.